Hi, and welcome to another episode on M&A Ambassadors, Becoming the USP, the Ultimate Sales Professional. Now, in the last episode, we talked a little bit about the call structure that you use and a little bit about your lead management approach. Now, what I want to share with you over the next 2 or 3 episodes is some tips and techniques that can make your call more effective, especially when you've got a request, a lead that has come in, maybe for a home that's ready, or it could even be for an off-plan opportunity. So in the next 3 episodes, about 10 to 15 different techniques is what I would share with you. Today, I would like to talk about a very powerful technique that creates influence and helps you to stay in control on the call. It's about using the name of the client. Now, I often get this question, is it okay to call the client by their first name or should I say Mr.? Now, truthfully, there are 2 schools on this. There's one school of salespeople who absolutely believe that it's perfectly fine to use the name and they're comfortable doing so. There is a second school of belief that actually says that the name by itself might be a bit disrespectful. Cultures are important to keep in mind. Some people are slightly elderly. Certain people, highly qualified, engineer, doctor, they like to hear that title being used. And both of these schools are okay. But let's look at it from a selling perspective. What gives you the edge and the control? Now, if culture is something that makes you say Mr., I'm fine with that. But I would suggest that you don't say it many times during the phone call, because every time you say Mr., 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 your prospect or lead takes the higher ground and you will never be able to gain advantage or have leverage in the call. So minimize the use of the name if you cannot avoid using Mr. On the other hand, let's look at what are the benefits of using the first name of the client. Personally, I belong to this school of thought that I believe in using the client's first name. The most important advantage that you have here is you create unconscious influence because you enter into a circle of trust. Now, who normally calls you by your first name? It's usually family, friends, associates, colleagues in the office. Now, these people automatically enter into a circle of trust. You are open to discussing things with them. You're okay to have them even question some of your views and even challenge you sometimes. You listen to some of the advice they give you. So that's the sphere that you get into when you're talking with a buyer or a seller and you're able to come to the first name basis. It gives you control and puts you in a better space for negotiations. Now, using the name is also quite strategic. You can't just drop the name anywhere you want. There are certain places in the call where when you use the name, you create influence. So I'll share with you 8 places where if you can bring the name, especially the first name, will give you a great advantage in controlling the call as well as influencing the outcome of the call. So the first place would be when you build rapport. Rapport is built to create trust, to build and start the relationship. Now, the relationship and trust is feeling based, so it sits in the right brain. So when you have to create rapport, you have to be working with the client in the right brain. Names are always connected with the right brain because it's an association, it's a relationship. So in rapport building, the name is powerful. So for example, let's say the lead you're speaking to is from overseas. I might turn around and ask a question like this. So Ahmed, have you visited Dubai before? And now I could also ask, have you visited Dubai before? But it's a bit impersonal. The relationship doesn't get built. So Ahmed, have you visited Dubai before? Let's say the lead you're speaking to lives in Dubai. He's a resident. So Ahmed, how long have you lived in Dubai? Client says, well, I've been in Dubai for the last 8 years. 8 years. What do you like about Dubai so much? It's easy for you to get into a rapport and a conversation with the client. Now, the next place where you can use the name effectively is when you get permission to start asking questions to understand the need of the client. So Ahmed, before I tell you why this community works best for you, may I ask you a question or two? Every time you use the name, you get more control and you're building that common ground on which you can speak. When you start qualifying, you can use the name. That's the third place you could use it. So Ahmed, what does your dream home look like? So Ahmed, what kind of an investment are you looking for right now? When you have finished asking these questions, you need to always summarize your qualification before you will even suggest meetings or present or talk about a solution. And the way to summarize would again start using the name. So Ahmed, from what you told me, you're interested in, and then you repeat what he has said. And you'll always end with, is that correct? So let me give an example. So Ahmed, from what you told me, you're interested in a 4-bedroom villa. You prefer it in a community like Tilal Al Ghaf, probably overlooking the lake, and for that kind of a villa you're willing to invest up to 15 million, and you could make the decision in the next 2 weeks. Is that correct? So the name gives you the control as you get in with the summarizing. Now when you're offering a meeting is another place where you can use the name. So Ahmed, when would you be free to come and visit us? Would tomorrow 4 o'clock work, or would Friday morning at 10 be better for you? So the name will really hook you into the conversation. Let's say the client has some concerns, objections that he raises. We always have to answer the objections with an empathy statement. Ahmed, I understand. Or Ahmed, I'm glad you brought that up. Or Ahmed, it's important that you get good returns. It's a very great way to bring in a neutralizer so that the emotional impact of the objection is removed. Now, when you answer the objection, you always want to check how the client is feeling about the answer. And since it's feeling, it's right brain, so the name works again well. So Ahmed, does that answer your question satisfactorily? When you want to make the offer, or you want to close out on the call, or you want to ask the client which unit he'd like to go for, I could use the name again. So Ahmed, which unit would you like to go for? Oh, so Ahmed, how do you plan to make the down payment? So, well, Ahmed, in that case, why don't we finish the paperwork on this so we can discuss next steps? So these are places where you could use the name effectively to control the call and to influence the outcome. Try this in the next calls that you have. Drop us a line or a comment if you want to tell us how it worked when you use the name. First tip that I'm giving you today. In the episodes coming up, I'll share a few more with you. So remember, the power is in the name because it creates unconscious influence, helps you to build rapport faster, stay in control, and get the client to open up to you. So use the name in these 8 places that I have discussed and see how your calls will move quicker towards a conversion and getting clients to agree for a meeting. I want to wish you the best of luck as you join us on the next episode of M&A Ambassadors and the USP, Becoming the Ultimate Sales Professional.